Aduke, the single mother ridiculed by the villagers. In the quiet village of Aduke, people lived simply but carried strong opinions about tradition and respectability. Among them was a young woman named Aduke, a single mother who had given birth to her daughter Folake after a youthful mistake. Aduke had once been a promising student, bright-eyed and full of dreams, but when she fell in love too early and found herself pregnant, the village's harsh judgment was swift and unforgiving. Village women would whisper and shake their heads whenever she passed by, muttering to their daughters, "Don't be like Aduke. She has nothing now, and her daughter is a child of shame." No one saw her struggle, the sacrifices she made, the tears she cried late into the night. To them, Aduke was simply an example of failure, a lesson of what not to be. Her daughter Folake was a lively little girl, but people called her bastard and child of shame as though it was her fault she'd come into the world. No man would look twice at Aduke, no matter her beauty, resilience, or kindness. They saw her only as second-hand property, a woman who had failed before she'd even begun. And yet, Aduke carried on, working in the fields and taking odd jobs to ensure Folake would never go without. One day, an unexpected guest arrived in Ayodun. A rich man from Lekki named Chief Olumide had come to see the king. He was looking to invest in a piece of land to develop a farming project, and word of his wealth and ambitions spread like wildfire. Chief Olumide was known not only for his success in Lagos, but also for his integrity and generosity. After his business meeting with the king, Chief Olumide decided to stroll through the village. His eyes were drawn to a scene that struck him, Aduke walking, her head held high, with little Folake holding her hand. He noticed how gracefully she carried herself, despite the murmurs around her. There was a quiet dignity about her, a resilience that caught his interest. Chief Olumide learned of her story from the king, who, like everyone else, saw Aduke as a symbol of lost promise. But Olumide was different. He saw beyond Aduke's past. In Aduke, he saw strength and loyalty, and in Folake, he saw a child who would thrive under love and care. His own wife had passed away years ago, and they had never had children. He had yearned for a family, and here, unexpectedly, he saw the chance for one. The next day, he visited Aduke's humble home, causing quite a stir in the village. Aduke, surprised but polite, welcomed him. They spoke for hours, sharing stories, dreams, and regrets. Chief Olumide admired her for the courage it took to raise a child alone, and Aduke found herself laughing and talking freely for the first time in years. By the end of their conversation, Olumide asked her if she would consider marrying him and starting a new life together in Lekki. Aduke could hardly believe her ears. She had spent years thinking no man would ever want her, that she was forever marked by her past. But here was a man, a wealthy and respected man, asking her to be his wife, to be a mother to the family he'd always wanted. They were married in a simple yet beautiful ceremony, with Aduke looking radiant and Chief Olumide beaming with pride. Folake wore a dress Chief Olumide had bought her, twirling with joy as her new father took her hand. Together, the three of them moved to Lekki, where Aduke blossomed in her new role, and Folake was given the opportunities Aduke had once dreamed of for herself. Years passed, and Aduke's family thrived. Chief Olumide adored both his wife and daughter, and they travelled, laughed, and built a life filled with love and respect. Aduke even trained in baking and started a small business that became popular in Lekki, while Olumide's farming investments flourished. In time, they had 2 more children, a boy and a girl, completing the family Aduke had never dared to hope for. Then, one day, they decided to return to Ayodun. Chief Olumide had built Aduke's parents a new house and had funded the construction of a new school and health centre for the village. As Aduke and her family arrived, the villagers couldn't believe their eyes. Here was Aduke, the woman they had once ridiculed, returning with a successful husband, beautiful children, and a heart generous enough to give back to the place that had once shunned her. The village women who had once warned their daughters not to be like Aduke now looked at her with awe and admiration. The same mouths that had gossiped and cursed her name now praised her strength, her kindness, and her achievements. One by one, they came forward, apologizing for the years of harsh words, their heads bowed in shame, and each time Aduke forgave them, smiling with the grace of someone who had long moved past bitterness. Aduke's story became a lesson for everyone in Ayadun. The villagers learned not to judge others by their mistakes, and the young people learned to persevere and hold their heads high. Her kindness and forgiveness mended old wounds and created new bonds of unity in the village. From then on, Aduke and Chief Olumide continued to invest in the village, helping with education and job opportunities. And every time Aduke visited, she did so with pride, no longer burdened by shame but celebrated as an example of strength, resilience, and the beauty of forgiveness. In the end, Aduke's story proved that life could offer second chances and that no one was defined solely by their past. Through patience, resilience, and grace, she had transformed herself from a symbol of scorn into a beacon of hope, a reminder to everyone that it's not where you start, but where you choose to go that truly defines you. I hope you liked my story. For more interesting stories, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.